Today we're talking alone time,
The Fall Guy again,
couple chat redesign again,
and 2 epic parenting wins. Stay tuned to find out.
Hello and welcome to Couple Chat.
Where we
Parents.
discuss topics for you.
Parents. I'm Matt.
I'm Jackie. Let's chat.
Here we are. Couple Chat. Yet again.
Yes, we are.
Strange. Something seems different.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about it.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll chat about it.
Oh, geez. So, starting off marriage this week, I wanted to talk about the fact that you and I have been doing this awesome thing where we're actually giving ourselves a little bit of space. And it's not like forced. It's not like, hey, go do this thing or whatever. But we both have noticed that we're a little stressed. We're parents now. We have a house. There's a lot of commitments. And we need some time to spend away. That's not necessarily with each other either. We need time away from each other as well. So the marriage that I want to talk about, the marriage thing that I want to talk about today is, how have you been feeling lately with us going on separate dates, going on out with friends? It's been a long time since either of us have really had friends around. All your friends, a lot of them moved to Florida. My friends are all over the place now. And we don't really have a lot of people around. So you got to hang out with some people from long ago that you've rekindled your friendships with just because of things going on in your life. And I just, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how we've been giving ourselves this time and it's helped me a lot. And I want to know like how that's helped you and how that's strengthened, I think, our marriage.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that it's a matter of we need self-care as much as anything else.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that. I've started hanging out with friends from long ago because you gifted me with this dance class that I'd mentioned previously in an episode. Right. And I feel like I didn't really dive deep into what this dance class means to me or dance classes mean to me and the people who I have rekindled with there. It's funny because I never expected to see these people again. The 2 girls that are in my Thursday dance classes and the 1 girl that's in all my dance classes, I used to dance with when I was 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
So it's one of those things where, we've gotten to kind of bond over our previous experience together and hey, you remember when, or you remember this dance or choreo or something like that. So it's actually nice, during class to be able to have that bond. Because, I'm an extrovert. I'm able to make friends with anybody. I can talk to anyone. I'm not shy in any sort of way. But I was actually nervous about going to these dance classes because as an adult, I haven't taken a dance class since college.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I was like, am I going to make any friends? What kind of commitment is this going to be? How am I going to feel?
Since we've been back to Jersey, you got back into acting.
Yeah, but performing and rehearsals are very different. You all audition to be there. You're all serious. You're all focused. Going and paying for a recreational class is totally different.
Right.
Those teachers are there. They're committed. They're, stringent on their weekly scheduling and stuff. But when it comes to the people that I'm there with, some of them are a little it's just fun. And then others, they're serious about it and care about their technique, which these 2 friends that I mentioned are. And it's one of those things where I was nervous of what I was walking into. It's just funny because these girls that I used to dance with, we had that relationship back then where we were serious, we were focused, we wouldn't fool around. We knew a lot of the dance already or could pick it up very quickly. So it's a very similar situation to how we were back in those days again. Because even in adulthood, we have that focus, that care for what we're doing, as opposed to some other people in the class. But before I even started, I was like, oh, I'm not going to know anybody. I'm going to feel so weird. Like, what kind of dancers am I dancing with? Like, are they all young? Like, are they all old?
Yeah.
Because I was afraid it was going to be like a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds. And it wasn't. Which I walked in that first class dressed in Christmas. It was like the Grinch.
Oh, yeah.
Because like it was like, dressed up like the Grinch day. So I'm wearing all green and I look silly and I did Cindy Lou Who hair. And I walked in and my friend recognized me right away and was like, oh my God, it's you. And like we just right off the bat rekindled, and it just right away I felt super comfortable and relaxed. So I think that helps me in like my time away. And I know it can be hard, like being left here with the kids, but like I think you can also see that like I feel better. I'm not as stressed out. I'm not as angry. I'm not as isolated. I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like have those moments. But along with rekindling with these people, I was able to go out on a girls' night. So we got to go to a dance showcase from, our old high school. So it was cool to like kind of be able to rekindle that. So I think it's more so a matter of rekindling this relationship really helped me kind of remember what I loved so much about performing and dance and everything like that. And even if it's just a hobby and a class that I take once a week or once in a blue moon, I really think it's something that I do want to consider continuing, whether there's a performance at the end or not.
Right.
But that's really been what's inspired me and helped me in just being able to have close friends again who have common interests, and there's a little bit of a history there. So it's nice. Speaking of dates that we've had, you went on a boy date.
Uh-huh.
And it was your second time seeing The Fall Guy.
Yep.
It's so funny because you came home and you're like, this is so good. You got to go again. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about like why this movie needs to be seen more than once and like kind of like your experience there?
Yeah. So, I mean, seeing The Fall Guy again, knowing now that like this is more than a rom-com and it's specifically a movie about making movies, there's just so much to unpack. And I purposely went with my guy best friend. Him and I have been filmmakers our whole lives. We met in like elementary school at some point. We don't
Cub Scouts.
I say that that's the first time that we met. We met at Cub Scouts. Justin, my friends, he doesn't think that that's the first time. So we have, we don't really know. And it's so funny because I don't know if I mentioned this when we were talking about The Fall Guy, but as soon as this movie started, it was the title sequence. As soon as the title sequence started, you know what? Even before that, when the movie begins, the opening logos have what you say prior to shooting.
Yes.
You can hear like, oh, camera rolling, okay, take 1A, whatever. They
sound.
Yeah, they say all of this as the logos are going in the intro, and I'm like, oh man, is this like this is gonna be a pretty good movie, I guess. This is gonna be like not what I was expecting. But it wasn't until the title sequence that I was really in. I was like, oh, okay, this movie is a movie about movies. Like they're really gonna go deep into this, because the title sequence is all from the script, but it's interesting because it's not the script of the movie in the movie. It's the script of The Fall Guy.
Right.
So like when they show Emily Blunt's, they show dialogue underneath her name that she says in The Fall Guy. And like it fades away and her name's there. Nice. Ryan Gosling says a piece of dialogue and it fades away, and so on and so forth. Obviously there are some things that it doesn't work that way. But anyway, So I immediately, when I saw that the first time, I was like, Justin has to see this movie.
Yeah.
He's going to love it. And I don't think it's on his radar because why would it be? It's a romantic comedy. It's not like, it didn't grab me when I saw the trailers.
Right.
I love Ryan Gosling. I love Emily Blunt, but I don't like these types of movies, so I didn't want to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So now having the opportunity to see it again and going there from a perspective of a filmmaker sitting next to my filmmaker best friend who we both worked on movies together. We've both made movies separately. This is what we do. It's in our blood.
Right.
Him and I had a long conversation afterwards in the parking lot, just about all the different things, you know, and the Chekhov's guns that were set up throughout the film is, you know, like we were just going back and forth like, oh my God. And then do you remember this and this and this? And it's great. It's great because I had a completely different conversation with him than with you, but not completely because you obviously have a film background as well and acting and whatever. And you've worked on a bunch of movies with both of us and with me. So you understand that world too. But Justin's different. He obviously understands the editing side of things. Him and I were talking about some of the editing techniques that they used. And yeah, it was a good movie. But then we were also talking about the writing and the storytelling too, because there are some moments that I feel like I said to you, the romantic comedy stuff I could take or leave. And there's some stuff that they beat over the head a little bit. And one of the things is they do that scene where, and this has been out long enough, we're talking about Fall Guy again. Skip over it if you want to. But there's this scene where Emily Blunt is the director, Ryan Gosling is the stuntman, obviously, and she's purposefully calling him out in front of the crew over the megaphone, and then every shot she's lighting him on fire, literally. Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, but it goes on a little too long.
Yeah.
And then
everyone on set is just like, ugh.
Yeah. And then they beat that joke over the head later on, or that whole like, hey, you weren't there for me, I wasn't there for you kind of thing. They beat it over the head throughout the movie. And even Justin and I said, they were like, yeah, I mean, they didn't need to do it more than once. That joke with the megaphone was enough. And they even sell it too. This is the last thing I'll say about it, but they even sell it so far because during that scene, so the movie within the movie, the hilarious thing about this is it is making fun of Dune.
Yeah.
This movie inside the Fall Guy is basically kind of like Dune meets Mad Max.
Yeah.
And there's no mistake that Universal and, you know, the director, the writers, they didn't purposely want this to launch at this time because it happened to come out after Dune Part 2 and right before Furiosa.
Of course.
Like, it's pretty
on the nose.
Yeah. But that's what makes it so funny. But anyway, so in that scene with the megaphone, every time she's like, all right, let's roll it again, they play the music that literally is mocking Hans Zimmer's score from Dune. And I'll tell you, and I knew this was going to get him because Justin and I are huge on musical compositions in films. As soon as he heard the choir, he was dying. Justin is, you know him.
I know.
He's very dry. He laughs. He has a good time, but he's very, you know, he's very composed. No, he was on the floor with this joke because he, you know, and he even said he said afterwards in the parking lot, he was like, I'm never going to be able to watch Dune the same way again.
No.
And yeah. So again, watching The Fall Guy a second time, it still stands. Fantastic film. Great movie about movies. Could do without some of the romantic comedy stuff. It's just like some of its poor writing. Yeah. It's not really that much, but
yeah.
So anyway, yes, we've given ourselves this opportunity to have these moments where we can be ourselves again. Yeah. You know, like you're dancing. I was able to go out and see a movie about movies with my friend, you know, who's a fellow filmmaker. So we're both like tapping into our hobbies, and it was a great feeling to be able to do that because him and I were kind of burnt out. he's in a rough spot in his life trying to figure out who he is. Same with me, obviously. I don't know what I want to do anymore when it comes to filmmaking and my craft and art as opposed to creating content. So it's hard right now to determine that. So just like you being able to go out and dance and you know, get that feeling back in your body, like you're creating art as well, and that's awesome. And now I am too. Trying to get back into it anyway. And having a day with Justin was fantastic. Along with all that, you and I are trying to improve each other and our commitment to our craft as a couple. And part of that is this, you know, and while not an event per se, I think it is an event that we are continuing to build on here on the Hahns and couple chat and evolving this thing. And I want to talk a little bit about, you know, what we're doing here, how we're trying to keep this momentum going, and in, you know, putting in these new things to like just keep making us excited to come down here and do this.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard when you're a parent and you're working full time and then you're supposed to come and you're supposed to create
Full time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And together, you know, like I'm glad we're doing it together because I couldn't imagine like, hey, Jackie, I'm going to go and shoot a video, which are things I need to do as well to keep up on my business and my craft, you know, but I'm glad we have this together and I'm glad that we're exploring it together and we're here and we have, you know, couple chat, but we're expanding on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to talk a little bit about how, you know, how we're doing that, what happened recently. Yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
So honestly, it's one of those things where we never expected to have all of this stuff, right? We were going to go into a tiny house. We didn't want to have more stuff.
Yeah.
But as we realized what we needed for this house to make it a home for now, we were accumulating stuff.
Yeah.
And we found that our neighbor was giving this away.
Right.
The fireplace that is behind us. So we picked that up off the street and carried it down to the house and originally had it in the living room. But then another neighbor was getting rid of another fireplace. So we brought that one home.
No.
The same neighbor?
No, this was here. This was given to us from the original, previous owners of this house.
Right. So the previous owners left this being like, we can't fit in the truck.
Yeah.
You know, we're just going to leave it here for you guys. And we're like, yeah, totally. Like, we've never had one of these before.
Right.
And then the neighbors down the street were getting rid of their old one. Yeah. And we're like, oh my gosh, two? Like, we could have one in one side of the house, one in the other. And then when we realized, like, we could use it for couple chat. We could have it be this beautiful centerpiece behind us, put our books, and that picture frame back there is like one of the first pictures we ever took together as a couple.
Yeah.
And the picture frame we found like Goodwill, I think it was
No, that's actually was given to us by another friend of ours.
Right.
Sarah, who's again, we're met from me, but we then gained a huge connection because she has a huge connection to the theater and the arts, and her, you know, the three of us worked together in the Axelrod Performing Arts Center together.
And she was in our wedding. Like, there's, right.
So we have a little piece of her back here as well. Yeah.
So like, there's just lots of given stuff. Like even the Harry Potter books. This is not my collection. This is your nephew's collection.
Yeah. Yep.
Because my collection's upstairs on display.
Yeah.
But like, there's just so much like hand-me-down here.
Right.
But like, it's beautiful. Like it feels homey. It feels good. It feels homey. It feels good. It feels lived in and loved.
Yeah. But we're also aware of the fact that like we don't plan for this setup even to be our forever because we do still want the tiny house thing.
Oh yeah.
And you know, that's what we're really leading towards. But these things around us, pieces of them will always be with us and we'll take it with us.
Yeah.
And we'll always look back on these episodes of Couple Chat and remember that this is how it really started.
Yeah.
Like especially the podcast version of it.
Right. And it's funny because the end tables that we have, you can't really see if you're like able to see the video, but the neighbor across the street moved out. He left them on the side of the street, and I saw it one afternoon. And I was like, Matt, I'm going to get them.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you, nuts? We don't need them. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They fit perfectly with everything. And then these chairs, talk about an event.
This is the event, guys.
This is the event. Okay. So this Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, I needed to get out of the house. It was just one of those things where I have to get a costume for my recital, and I needed a break. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Goodwill because they'll have everything I need, right?
Yeah.
Did not find a costume at Goodwill.
Right.
Didn't even find a piece of it. So that was unfortunate. But I walked in the store, I saw these 2 dining room chairs, and they were beautiful. They had this cool, ornate, like, pattern on it. And I was like, oh, this would be cool for couple chat. Because we mentioned we were looking for something really new, like something more comfortable, something more us. Yep. And I found these chairs. They were $13. I was like, yeah, I got them. 13 for 2. Why not? Bought them right away because Goodwill, you never know. Someone might steal it right from under you while you're shopping around the rest of the store.
Right.
And walked around the rest of the store, couldn't find any clothes. And then I was like, you know what? Let me go walk by the furniture again. And I walked by the furniture and I walked down and I was like, these are just exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah.
The high back, the comfy, the cozy, in front of a fireplace, in front of a fireplace. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So they were $20. And I was like, all right, so it's Goodwill. So you can't really like exchange. You can't really return. Yeah. So like you get a store credit. So I went up to the guy. I was like, listen, I bought those other chairs, but I don't want those. I want these instead. Gave me a store credit. They ring me up and they're like, okay, well, you have $465 back on your card. Or you have $465 in store credit. And I was like, these 2 chairs were $20. What do you mean I have $465 remaining? And they're like, you got the chairs for $1. And I was like, excuse me? And they're like, it's Sunday. And I was like, uh-huh. And they were like, yellow and red tickets today are $1. And I looked at the tag and it was 2 chairs for $1.07. My mind, I literally looked at the manager, looked at the girl at the register, and I was like, huh? And she's looking at the manager like, this girl's crazy. She doesn't understand what I'm telling her. Like, ma'am, your ticket has a yellow sticker on it. It means that it's $1. Right. And my mind was just blown. I'm literally just standing there, mouth open, like, what? Is this real? Yeah. She was like, yeah, you just bought 2 chairs for 50 cents each. And that was the event of the weekend. It wasn't a Memorial Day sale. It wasn't a Memorial Day.
Kind of a Memorial Day sale.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Memorial Day barbecue. Like it was.
We didn't do any. We did have our own Memorial Day barbecue.
We did,
and it was great. Yeah. I mean, it rained. Today is Memorial Day when we're shooting this, by the way. Yeah. But it rained and it kind of sucked. But at the same time, it was fun, and we found like fun things to do today.
Yeah, but this was the highlight of this weekend. These 2 chairs. 50-cent chairs, man. So cool. So, yeah, that's my event.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm still like mind boggled by it. It was great.
They're great, and this is our first episode sitting in them. They're comfy, man.
Yeah.
They're a little dirty.
Here. Yeah.
But, it's Goodwill. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we'll get some covers.
Yeah.
Spray it with some Febreze. No biggie.
Yeah.
So speaking of this weekend, it was kind of crazy. Yeah, we had kind of a tough day yesterday. Mm-hmm. But I think that this afternoon really solidified everything we've been working toward. He has this Olympic week coming up at school.
Yeah.
And I think that, they send whole projects and they want us to do stuff. And they're like, you have to make a family flag. And like, I think we really kind of dove into that. But I want you to talk about that. And I also wanted to talk about the following, events, because we played our first ever board game with him.
Yeah.
And he was wonderful about it.
Yeah.
So I really want to talk about the family flag and then also his, our board game experience.
Yeah, sure. So the flag is such an interesting thing. And when I read the description of what the school wanted us to do, I was like, this is like right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
So I've struggled with a few of the projects that the school has sent home for him to do in the last year that he's been in school.
We both have.
Yeah. But like this one, I'll never forget this one because like I was so down in the dumps about seeing all the others afterwards. But it was like this St. Patrick's Day.
Leprechaun trap.
Yeah. Leprechaun trap.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, look, I was never the best student. And I think it was probably a dance night. And you were like, oh, Matt, we didn't do the leprechaun trap. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, and then I tried to put it together real quick. And it was shoestring, terrible. Like I just glued some green paper on a shoe box, basically. And I was like, look, you pull the straw and the shoe box closes. But anyway, he brought it to school and I saw the pictures of everyone else's leprechaun traps and his. And I'm like, what in the name? Oh, these parents did a phenomenal job and mine looks like a piece of garbage.
Yeah, but parents did it.
I know that. And I mean, Nate and Emma helped me, but anyway. So this flag thing was like, okay, this is a me thing right here. I am very interested in doing this with him. And like, it's just exactly what I love to do. It's very artsy. We sat down when Emma went down for nap and I was like, well, I want to make this kind of like our family crest and like build upon that with things we like. So, my logo, Han Films, is based off of my family crest. So tried to tell Nate about it and explain it to him. And he's interested. And like we try, I tried to explain to him the whole rooster symbolism, how Han means rooster in German. He doesn't understand German, but
neither do we.
I know some things.
Han.
Nine.
Guten Tag.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Beatles.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, I built upon that and I made the decision. I was like, okay, in order to make this like the best it could possibly be, like really rival these parents this time, I have to draw something. Then he would be tasked with coloring it under supervision with us backing him, And Nate loves to draw. He loves to write. He's been carrying around a notebook since the family fair. And like, I love it. I love it. As someone who did this stuff when I was a kid, I am just eating it up. Yeah. Like, it makes me have hope for this kid to want to be creative. And I think these are the buds of it. And I'm not even doing anything. He's just doing this on his own. I think he just loves doing this kind of stuff at school. Yeah. And he's bringing it home and he just loves to draw stuff and hand it to us and be like, Daddy, I made this for you and whatever. And like, yeah, sometimes it's like kind of nothing, but like he's just getting better and better and he just keeps drawing and doing more stuff that's impressing me and you.
Yeah.
And I think others around him too and his family. So ultimately I was like, okay, I want to do this in a controlled environment so like we can do it, but I want us all to be proud of it. Right. I don't want it to just be a big scribbled mess. I want him to really take his time on it. And I wanted to really take my time on it and show him what you can do when you take your time. Ultimately, I said, all right, I'm going to sketch out some flag with our family crest involved, the things that we all know and love involved in there. And we tried to think about hobbies and, meld these things together in a symbolic way without saying it outright. We created this cool flag that involves Star Wars and Harry Potter, the family crest and gaming and reading and all this stuff. And I think it turned out beautifully. And when Nate colored it, Nate colored certain parts, you colored certain parts. It was great. It was great. And he really did an awesome job coloring. And we stayed on top of him. We were like, all right, dude, take your time, take it slow, stay in the lines. He really listened to those directions. And I think he loved the fact that we were like there. Yeah. Nate is the type of kid that like he needs someone to really focus on him. Yeah. And he needs that one-on-one interaction. And now this time it was 1-on-2, but we were both interacting with what he was doing. And I think he loved it. And he did such a great job with it that all that praise made him feel so accomplished. Right. And one of the things that he said to me that really stuck out was, he was like, wow, Daddy, you drew all this? How did you draw this? So like hearing him say that was like, that was my goal.
Yeah.
I wanted him to look at that and go, wow, that's somebody can do that. Yeah. And my dad was capable of doing that. And maybe I can do that one day, you know? And since again, I know that he's interested in this kind of stuff and he's progressing in his art and coloring and all that, I would like him to focus on it and really learn these techniques. Mm-hmm. So I think that's great. And that in itself was just, it was a shining moment for me as a father and for him as an individual and, you know, as maybe someone who's going to pursue this type of hobby.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was awesome. And then on a recreational side, you know, he's been talking about it because he saw it in our game ottoman, but Candyland was given to us by my sister. It was my niece and nephews, and he's been saying, "Oh, I want to play that." Supposedly, he has it at school. He said, "I didn't know that."
They might have it in the classroom, but I don't know if they actually like play it.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So we sat down this afternoon after he finished the flag, after he had his own quiet time, and we played 3 rounds of Candyland. Well, I played 1.
Yeah,
Jackie won, but I won
twice.
Yes, but he was so good about you winning. Mm-hmm. We weren't sure how he was going to be because every time he loses, like in just something simple, like, oh, Emma got her backpack on first and got out of the house first, he like flips out.
Yeah,
you know, so like seeing him in a controlled environment again, and like one on 2 with us, I think he did a great job with it.
He was amazing. I was shocked. Literally, the first time he lost, I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, how is he going to react? And then the second time, and he reacted like the same. And I was just like, oh, he's a good loser. Because, you know, you fear that as a parent. You want to make sure that your kid's a good loser because it can alienate him. And I didn't want that to happen. And I don't want that to be the way his life goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I was really happy about that. And then the third time he won.
Yeah.
He beat me. And I was just like,
all on his
dude.
Own.
All on his own. No cheating.
No.
We played the right way. I got stuck on a spot.
Yeah.
And he drew 2 and he won.
Yeah.
It was
great. Even like in the instructions, they give you 2 options to play, like with younger kids and older kids. Mm-hmm. And the younger kid option is if you draw a card that sends you backwards, you discard and the kid pulls again. Mm. The older kid version is whenever you draw a card, you go wherever it tells you to go on the board.
Right.
And like Nate didn't even understand like the not going to the spot. Yeah. Like he pulled a card out and he was like, well, no, I have to go to that spot. And like we couldn't even like make the decision like, oh, well, we're going to play the younger kid version. Like he just understood it and was fine with it.
Right.
So we were like, well, he gets it. And like, there's no reason to play it any differently.
No.
So.
Well, for him, like you said, for younger kids, like I feel like if it was like Emma's still too young for it. Yeah. But
it says 3 and up on the box. So maybe, you know, in 6 months or so when Emma is 3, maybe she can handle it. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. It's not one of those things I even ever thought of. But I feel like there's certain kids his age or maybe even younger.
Right.
That can't really play it that way.
Maybe.
Because they're not used to losing. So, but no, he lost gracefully and I was very proud of him. I felt like that was like, it wasn't necessarily a parenting moment, but it was a kid moment. Like he was such a,
no, but I think that is, like you said, a parenting win because I don't know if we did something at some point throughout our lives so far with him, but like somehow he was able to win without getting upset in this situation. Like obviously there are other situations where he does, but maybe this will help him through those too.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, hey, dude, it's all right. Winning is part of life or losing is part of life. And it helps you become a better person.
Yeah.
You need to know how to lose, you know? Life is a roller coaster. We lose all the time in a lot of different ways. Yeah. Not just in games. So, yeah, I mean, really, really 2 great moments today and this week. And yeah, it's just, those are the types of things that make me love being a parent and like gives me hope for the future, you know?
Yeah.
So I felt really good today.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that was this week in the life of the Hahns. If you are enjoying us changing up this setup and we're doing this new but yet old style of couple chat where we're actually trying to chat, like we want to change it up because it's like we weren't really chatting, we were kind of talking to the audience, but we wanted to really make it more like we are having a conversation about things that we really haven't talked about before sitting down in this chair.
Yeah.
In these chairs.
50-cent chairs.
50 cent, y'all. But anyway, so yeah, hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share.
Comment.
Yeah, that was it.
Text.
DM.
See you in the DMs. All right, anyway. I'm Matt.
I'm Jackie.
Here are the Hahns signing out.
Thank you so much for listening to Couple Chat. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube Music. You can even subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see this episode in video. Thank you to Hahn Films for editing and producing this episode. Let's chat soon.